Hey there. Hey Sid, this is update for our next sprint. Let me go through and give you kind of the quick tour. I got a couple things to showcase. I think a lot of this is going to be fairly heavy on the development side, so I'll kind of give you my thoughts behind that and where we're going and what we did for the past sprint. Um, so uh, as we were kind of looking at the mocks, I came to the realization that we were going to be dealing with a pretty much a focus on mobile. So I played around with the Android phones we have and sort of the experience and wanted to kind of focus on what would this development experience, what would be the best development experience from this for a mobile app, for kind of a mobile web app. And so I actually rewrote a lot of the front end in React. So what we have now is a back end in Rails. So taking advantage of everything Rails has to offer in terms of like active record and sort of the business logic on the controller side. And then on the front end, speeding things up a bit and having some of this render actually on the front end. And so what we have today is, I can kind of maybe best to give a technical tour. We're using Rails on the back end, as I said, React on the front end, and then React, we actually have a pretty simple setup here where we're using GraphQL to actually pull the data. So right now we have all our views rendering through React. This gives us a little bit more clarity on sort of, I think in terms of the mobile interaction, I think we can be a little bit more granular. So just to give you some ideas of this, now scan is built into the app. You can hit that. Obviously, I will show up. I can hit back on that. That now works with QR code scanning. We have the identity being rendered. You can see the little interstitial there of loading. That's actually all React taking care of that. This is all using React hooks, so it's all basically functional. There's no state held in the components. It's all very clean. The search bar. This is something. So this basically was the bulk of the sprint was kind of rewriting this. Now today I started writing stuff now, building into this the starting to build the screens that we require. So here's an example of. And please ignore my poor CSS right now, as it looks a little bit shaky. But ultimately, we're getting towards this. And let's see, in the regular desktop view, we've got the search box here. You click on that, it automatically takes me into another React view where I can search. And thanks to the speed of GraphQL, it's actually pretty fast to actually build this out. So here's an example of me searching for myself. Obviously, there's nobody named Marty right now in the system, so there's no results. It goes back to mine. If I click on that, it takes me through to my profile. I can look at entry logs. I can go back. This nav bar is all rendered on the front end. Let's see. We can actually go back to the main app. This is just the Inquashi app, so right now we're letting it be branded for each community. Um, I think in the future, I think the next sprint will basically be building out all these screens now. I think we have a really good foundation where we're at. Um, just to kind of reiterate, building all this front end on React, still on Rails. We actually have a pretty good amount of testing now around that. So the GraphQL kind of gives us that API layer that lets us test and maintain roles and authentication. Still using the built-in Rails authentication, so there's nothing funky there. We're using ESLint on the front end, so kind of trying to keep things clean there in terms of code style and consistency. We'll be adding to that as we grow. Obviously, I think we'll probably be pushing a little bit more down the you know type safe path. I don't know how we'll do that, either TypeScript or possibly just using prop types built into React. Um, but I think that's a pretty good idea of where we're at after this next sprint. It's unfortunate that I think I didn't have a chance to get too many more screens out there and get some more features built in. But I think now we're in a state where this next sprint will be all feature driven, and we have a clean code base that I can kind of go to somebody who ultimately, if we decide to grab a new front end person, they can kind of consistently just work in this world. And I think they have a clean template and starter, and I think we're going to wind up with a pretty decent app, and one that doesn't have a ton of technical debt associated with it, and one that looks very mobile first. So pretty happy about that. And I think, and feel free to shoot any questions you have my way. I love any feedback on this. This is, um, definitely a little bit of a new direction, but I think long term it's going to pay off for us. So that's kind of the basic update. And like I said, all this is checked into master, so feel free to take a look at the code, take a look at the React code, and see how it's working. I've been pretty happy with it. I've been actually really impressed with kind of the latest um, version of React and React hooks and how it focuses on lack of side effects and really focusing on state-free components. So I think it should be nice. That's about it.